Hello, everybody. Gather one, gather round, welcome. We are here to rank some more Deck Dance cards. Everybody, my name is Ogsky, but you can call me Andrew, and today we will be ranking the Grillmaster. If you don't know already, the Grillmaster is one of the Dans from my board game, Deck Dance. Deck Dance is now open for public playtest. You can be playing right now. Any feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. If you want to make your mark on this game, now is the time to do so. But today, we will be taking a look in depth at the Grillmaster. A little backstory for you, the Grillmaster was the very first dad I made, so some of the Grillmaster cards tend to be pretty simple, but that doesn't mean that the Grillmaster doesn't pack the heat. Of course, the Grillmaster is all about dealing big damage with big combo cards, and the cards that can really set you on fire are the ones that are going to be on the top today. If you want to see these cards in action, I got to play as the Grillmaster in my latest video. Check it out. And if you haven't already checked out the tier list where I rank the yard bar cards, do that right after this. But for now, let's get down to business. So how am I ever to rank these cards? Well, if you didn't see the last video, I have 3 criteria that will help me to do that. Number 1, fit to kit. How well does the card adhere to the playstyle of the dad? Number 2, is the card any good? Hopefully. And number 3, the most important rule of all, is it any fun? The most fun cards are the ones that will make it to the top even if they are a little bad, just because that's how I like to roll. Alrighty, just like every dad, the Grillmaster has 6 unique cards in the starting deck, and we will start with those cards. We have a real banger to start. Grillfire, Heat 1. I gotta say, this is the card that is the most exciting to draw in your starting deck because, of course, the Grillmaster's special ability is that the higher the heat, the higher the damage. Once per turn, the Grillmaster can add his heat to 1 damaging card. So, Grillfire is the thing that gets that ball rolling. There are better cards that allow the Grillmaster to heat that are available in the bonus deck, but out of all of the cards in the starting deck, this is the one. If you draw this in your first hand, you are having a great time. So, it gets a lot better, but hey, this is pretty good. Definitely better than others. These next 2 cards are the basic block and basic attack that every dad has, just reskinned. And I think it would be doing a disservice if I didn't put these in the exact same place as I did for the Yard Bard. I put the block a little bit higher than the basic attack, and I mean, if you're looking to remove a card from your deck, it's always going to be probably your basic attack to start. You're happy to see the block when you have damage coming your way, but otherwise, you would much rather be drawing better cards. Next, we have a very interesting card, Burger or Dog. It's a 0-cost card that either lets you block 2 or draw 1. Of course, if you're drawing 1, it's like you didn't even draw the card at all. And if you're blocking 2, you're getting less than a normal paper plate block. But for 0 cost, that's pretty good. This card's pretty versatile. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Because mostly you'd rather be just, like, if it didn't even exist, you'd just get a different card anyway. But on those rare occasions you are using it to block, it can be helpful. It's kind of a nothing burger, if you will. It always presents an interesting dilemma, except 90% of the time if you have no damage coming your way, it's like you just didn't even, it wasn't even your hand to begin with, so it's a little disappointing. For the Grillmaster specifically, this is a pretty weak card. Next up, we have the Bane of Dads Everywhere, the Hockey Puck. Unless if I'm mistaken, this is the card out of any starting deck that has the highest damage, and for 6 damage, that is over half of a Dad's health at 10. So, I mean, with 1 heat, even just 1 heat, you're looking at 7 damage. The price is right, because if you think about it in terms of like a basic attack, 1 energy for 3 damage, this keeps in line with that, 2 energy for 6 damage. But it can be harder to overcome the block, right? Because instead of drawing 1 block, you're going to need to draw 2, all in the package of 1 card. At the start of the game, this thing is a menace. So I think this is definitely better than others. Pretty good to have in the kit right at the start. Knuckles Sandwich. This is the first card that can really take advantage of heat. Normally, if you have 0 heat, 1 damage for... Sorry, 1 energy for 2 damage is pretty low. But obviously, this scales extremely well with the more heat you have. So, I mean, if you're able to get this all the way up to 6 heat, then you're doing, what, that's 14 damage for 1 energy? Obviously, that's a bit of a rare scenario, and there is a bit of a downside with the reducing of the heat afterwards, but if you are able to, like, one-tap your opponent, then, I mean, that's job done right there. So, early game, I mean, it's not great, but later it can blow up your opponent, so definitely on par with Hockey Puck. And that does it for the starting deck. Alrighty, all of those cards were pretty basic, but now we're moving on to some more interesting cards, starting with Ashes to Ashes. So, this is quite an interesting card. I actually recently buffed this card because I think it needed a little bit of zhuzh. So, the point is that you can use this to get rid of cards that you're not using, and just get a tiny deck, draw all the cards you just want every turn. The problem that it used to have is that you could never get rid of itself. So now, after the job is done, you can play this card and it'll sit patiently away and not bother you anymore. This card is not going to be worth it every time you see it, just because it does require you to, well, one, you're paying 3 energy an entire turn to get enough money in order to add this to your deck, and then you're doing that just to spend more money on removing cards. So, if you think about it, you could just save up for $6 to remove a card permanently. So, it's a bit of a band-aid. If you already have a small deck, this can be useful to nab the cards you want. So, definitely not for every deck. And don't be fooled by all these low-tier cards so far. There are going to be some really good bangers, not unlike the next card, Brush. So, Brush is pretty dang good. It is a strict upgrade to Grillfire. 1 energy cost for heating 1. The range of your cards increases by 3 this turn. This is actually pretty excellent because you'll notice something with the Grillmaster. The Grillmaster has a lot of low range cards. Nothing crazy like range 4, 5, 6 like some of the other Dans have. A lot of the other Dans have ways of hitting across the board without using range. So anyway, that but the Grillmaster doesn't is the point. So the Brush can really let you catch somebody surprised if they've been playing for a while. They know the Grillmaster, as if you can kite them around, usually can't do much to you. But the Brush can just turn that on its head. So it's not as good as it gets, but it is pretty dang good. Char. You'll see Char is quite a bit like Knuckle Sandwich. Damage 2, range 2 twice. It has a bigger range than Knuckle Sandwich. Has more damage right at the gate. This is more damage than a Flipper for 4 damage for 1 energy. Of course, that is not accounting for heat. Char basically lets you double your heat, right, on 1 card. And so if you have just a measly 1 heat, this is 6 damage for 1 energy. This card is crazy. I mean, what's a reasonable amount to heat to have after a couple turns? 2, 3 heat? Imagine if you have 3 after just a couple turns. You are absolutely going buck wild on some fool. This is a very, very good card. Chef's Hat. So this is kind of a interesting card. It lets you get more oomph out of your starting deck. So this is kind of playing into the simplicity of the Grillmaster, that he's kind of a basic guy and using his basic starting cards. So you'll see there's another card that also combos with the starting cards. So there's kind of a small archetype going on there. But this isn't always going to be the... Like, if you got this in your draft, you might be thinking about playing around with your basic cards, but you're probably not picking this every time. Even the 0 cost is great. But let's be honest, this isn't the height This isn't the height we're looking for. This is pretty conditional. And you're not believing me that all these cards aren't that great. The Deviled Egg is certainly a card of all time. 2 damage, 2 energy for 5 damage, 1 range, and then appear on your spawn if it is unobstructed. So basically this card can let you teleport around the board if you're able to move far away from your spawn. Well, not teleport around the board, teleport to one spot on the board that never changes. The damage isn't great, the movement can be a bad thing. You don't have the option of not moving when you play this card, you must move. So it's hard to imagine a time that this is always useful. You're not always going to want to play this card. I think this is a card worth buffing. This card's a little upsetting at the moment. So right now, this is very disappointing. Finally, we can swing something around. Embers! This might be the card that I rank as #1 out of any Grillmaster card. Embers is just a hilariously broken card. Heat 2 for 0 energy is ridiculous to start. Obviously, the downside of losing all your heat at the end of the turn is bad, but doesn't matter if you're using that heat to absolutely obliterate somebody. And, on top of that, it's a free energy. So, there's hardly any ever turn that you wouldn't want to play this, unless you have some kind of deck that it's important to, like, keep your heat. There's plenty, there's a couple of cards that remove heat, so it's not always a guaranteed thing that you're going to have. Anyway, so Embers, you can just absolutely blow somebody up, and they're not going to live to tell the tale. Fork! Damage 5, range 5. This is the highest range card that the Grillmaster has. And it's pretty simple, but it is hard to look at and say that it isn't just a good card. This is a massive upgrade over your basic attack. Extra damage, extra range, way extra range for the same cost. So, I mean, the board is only 7 tiles wide, and you sit on a tile, so range 6 is the entire board. So, I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, gotta say. But not, like, mind-bendingly good. Unlike our next card. So, Grease Spittle is in the line of cards like Char and Knuckle Sandwich, that it lets you hit more than once in one card. And obviously that is great for the Grillmaster, because it lets the heat damage buff apply more than once. Grease Spittle, unlike those other 2 cards, hits 3 times. So you're tripling your damage. Which is, obviously, I've already been going over damage calculations. This can get ridiculous. Obviously, this has to... The balancing is that you can only do this once. If you're playing a multi-round game, that's all you need. You can just knock somebody out next round, boom. So, like, what more is there to say? This is one of the best cards in the kit. And Grill Slam. Now, you might be thinking that Grill Slam... You might be thinking one of 2 things. 1, wow! Ogskive, this card is amazing! 12 damage on 1 card? If I'm not mistaken, this is the highest out of any card in the entire game. Damage 12. That number 12 is the biggest number out of any damaging card of the game. The downside is that it costs, obviously, all of your energy on 1 turn. So you have to be lucky enough to draw this card and already have an opponent next to you. So for that reason, you might be saying, Ogskive, this card is trash. You can't use this card at all. And I don't care. This is an S tier card. This card's amazing. It feels so good to hit somebody with a grill. 12 damage, boom, you're dead. Turn 1. Don't tell me that's not a good time. Alrighty, if you were watching my last video, I mistakenly did not take the hairnet in my pregame draft. I wish I did. It would have saved my butt. Since then, I did change the wording a little bit, so if this card looks a little different, that's why. But otherwise, it functions exactly identically. 2 damage, 2 energy to save yourself from a bunch of incoming damage just by damaging yourself one. This is the card in the game that can save you from anything. The Tech Wiz has a card that can block 25. That can't even stop some crazy, ridiculous cards like Rapture. This one can. This is the one card in the game that can just put the kibosh on whatever. It's a little conditional, because one, you have to hope that you draw it, and obviously, you are damaging yourself for one. You can't use this forever. But, on the turns where you get this, and it matters, you are happy to have it. It doesn't reach the upper echelons, but this would have saved my butt in the last game. All of my fellow Elder Zoomers will get the reference for this next one. Port and starboard attachments. This is the other one that I was talking about that also helps out your basic cards. Draw 3. So 1 cost, draw 3. That's pretty dang good, just in and of itself. Flippers now cost 0 energy this turn. So, hey, this card is even just ignoring the flipper cost reduction. Drawing 3 for 1 energy is a good deal. Flippers now costing 0. This, obviously, if you have flippers in your deck, you haven't gotten rid of them, this can just let you just do some extra burst damage. Obviously, you're drawing more cards, you're more likely to be drawing flippers. This is an easy S tier card. This card can just go crazy, even without, for example, comboing with the Chef's Hat. But if you have both, oh baby, we're eating good. Meat Slap. What is there to say about this card? Meat Slap costs 0, and you can only play it if it is the last card in your hand. So, interestingly, you never really want to have more than one of these in your deck, because if for whatever reason you draw 2 of them, they're both useless. Otherwise, unless you have, if you've added 3 cost cards to your hand, pretty much always you're going to be able to play your other 2 cards. Because the Grillmaster has a lot of 1 and 2 cost cards, and then 0 cost cards. So, you can pretty easily, this is basically a free 3 damage. So, I mean, like, that's pretty good, isn't it? You're always happy to have that. Okay, so now we have the 2 propane cards. Let's start with propane. Let's start a little nice. Propane. Move 1, then damage 3 to each other player within 2 tiles. So, it lets you move and then do a big old, like, AoE attack for 2 damage. That's pretty good. If you're playing with more than one other person, this lets you spread out your heat, obviously. So if you have 2 heat, that gets added to this 3, and then that's damage 5 to each other player within 2 tiles. So it's another way to combo your heat. And it's something that lets you hit around corners, because it's not using range. So this has some things that really fill out the Grillmaster's kit in a way that it solves some unique problems. So you're always happy to have propane. Now the dark side of propane, going full propanity, because obviously the Grillmaster, a little lore bomb for you. He made a pact with hell to get the most perfect fire for his burgers. So, propanity lets you add a Deadly Sin to another player's deck. Deadly Sins mostly come up when you're playing games with multiple rounds, which I haven't yet showcased on the channel just because they take a long time, and I'm not sure if anybody would like to watch that. If you would like to watch a multi-round game with some longer form deck building, you should definitely let me know. Because if anybody proves to me that they want to see that, I would be happy to make it. In either case, in a long-form game or a one-round game, adding a Deadly Sin, let's just do the math really quick. So a Deadly Sin is just a card that does nothing. It just sits in your deck and wastes space. You can spend 6 money to remove it. But, for example, if you're spending 3 energy to get $3 to buy this and 1 energy to play it, that is just, the math checks out. The math checks out. You're spending 4 energy. Somebody else wants to get rid of it. They're spending 6. This is a great card. and on the off chance they don't even try to get rid of the deadly sin, you're just wasting. They're just drawing cards that do nothing. They're having less efficient turns. That is a banger of a card. Okay, let's speed it up a little bit. Spicy Pepper. So this is a great mid-game card. After you've got yourself some heat, Spicy Pepper lets you just double all of that and lets you end the game quickly with some big damage from your heat. This does require you to already have some heat, obviously, but Spicy Pepper gets the job done. Doesn't go away like Embers does. So, I mean, that's a pretty great card. Next, we have Raise My Voice. This card kind of does a little bit of everything. Obviously, costing 3 energy, it takes your entire turn. But it lets you heat and damage in the same card, and also lets you move around. Not a ton of damage, obviously, but that's just part of the price of having a little bit of everything. Jack of all trades, master of none sort of card. I'm putting it in conditional, not because it's bad, but because when you draw this card, if you're not able to hit somebody with it, you're probably not playing it just for the heating and the moving. You're probably using your other cards, so we're putting that in conditional. Next up, Salt. Salt is a B tier sort of card. 1 energy for blocking 2 is obviously no good. And you can't get smart with this. You cannot get smart. You have to be taking damage in order to play this card and get the effect. If no incoming damage and you play this card, you don't get any heat. And, well, here's a little thing. As the Grillmaster, if you're playing with people who know what they're doing, you probably have heat on you all the time, because everybody realizes that if they let the Grillmaster build up his heat, then he's going to be killing everybody. So people tend to target the Grillmaster. So usually you're going to be getting Salt off. You're going to be heating and blocking in the same card. But Salt's kind of a side grade to Grillfire. Simmer. Block 4 and heat 1 that advantage this. Oh, sorry. I guess I'm skipping around here. My notes are a little out of order. Simmer. This is a pretty middling card. That heat is forever, but this card isn't. It's a little unfortunate that it vanishes itself. This card probably doesn't have to vanish itself, and it would still be okay. But it does distinguish itself from Salt a bit. It's a bit worse than Salt, I think. Smoke. Okay, so Smoke. Again, I'm a little out of order here. Smoke is a very fun card. It's the only card of its kind. Well, it's not exactly true. It does the best at this sort of just damage everybody kind of cards. Especially for the Grillmaster, because it lets you hit everybody with your heat as well. This is among the most fun cards in the game. Easy S tier. And lastly, we have... Where is it in my notes? I can't see it on the tier list maker, so I have everything to the side here. Spoon! It's kind of just the basic block and the basic attack in one. It lets you be whichever one you need it to be, baby. It is middling. That's a good word for it. Middling, aka C tier. Well, everybody, that is that. That is my tier list of the Grillmaster cards and deck dads. What do you think? Hopefully you believed me when I said that a lot of these cards are pretty highly rated. Grillmaster has a lot of fun tools, and I always have a great time kicking the snot out of my friends with this very powerful dad. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I'm sure I may have ruffled some feathers. And, well, that'll be it for this tier list video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it all. Play Deck Dads. It's for free. If you have Tabletop Simulator, join my Discord server. I'm open over there. I'm open to any suggestions you have. So if you have any ideas for the channel, things you'd like to see, that's the place to let me know. And, well, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.